fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Welcome to What the Fuck Are You Reading with Kaylee and Casey,
a podcast and book club for all of the book lovers and shit talkers.
Hey Casey, how are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm better. I do have something that I have been waiting for this podcast to talk to you about.
Oh, fuck, what?
Okay, so I got chosen to be a model for a Brazilian wax this past Friday. So
No, you did not.
They called me and
Have
told
you
me,
ever
like,
done that before?
no.
Oh my
And they
God.
called me and told me I had to be there in 30 minutes if I wanted to do it for free. And I live like 20 minutes away. So there was no prep. I had not shaved my legs in like 2 weeks. Like, the hair was ridiculous. So I'm thinking, okay, like maybe like I'll go in, maybe it'll be like dim lighting or something. Like, it's not going to be that big a deal, like for a free Brazil. No, it was medical grade lighting. Like, it was like I was in a doctor's office, except I'm sitting on a table, butt ass naked from the waist down, and I have to butterfly my legs out. And then I have, like, she does her business in the front, and then I have to pull my knees up to my chest so she can get to my butthole.
Chest?
Yes. And that's not even the worst. So I walk in, I'm anxious, okay? Like, I'm nervous. And there's this guy in there who looks legit like Shaq sized going to get his Brazilian. And he is so nervous. He's like sweating, like acting like he doesn't want to go in there. And I can hear him in the room hooping and hollering. And he comes out and they're like I finish like at the same time as him, like, because he was giving him hell. So he went in before me, but like we came out at the same time. And they were talking to him like, hey, we'll see you next month. Like, it's okay. It's like, you'll get used to it. He's like, the fuck you will see me next. Like, I am never coming back here again. I don't know how y'all do this. So anyway.
That is awesome.
I
can't believe
had a
that's the first
Brazilian.
time you've ever done that.
Like, marry an old man, okay? That's all I gotta say. Like, there is no requirement.
Oh my gosh. So I've been getting Brazilians since like 2016. So during the pandemic, I had to shave because, whatever, and we were going to be in bathing suits. So like I literally had to shave. And I have never ever shaved again since because I got so many ingrown hairs after waxing for so many years and then shaving after waxing. Anyways, get a Brazilian. To everybody listening, do it. It will change your life.
Yeah, well, you know what? It was free, so no regrets.
Hell yes.
So we did want to add something also before we started back on One Dark Window to finish up our series. And Casey, just go ahead and introduce our new little segment.
Oh, okay. So we don't really have a name for it yet. I'm sure we will include some form of what the fuck in like the name of this segment that we're going to start. But I basically in our Facebook group asked, tell me some drama, like give me some tea, like tell me something going on in your life right now or from a long time ago in high school, like tell me something juicy. And the people in our Facebook group fucking delivered. I also posted this to my Instagram story about 15 minutes ago. So I'm hoping that I get some good stuff on Instagram too, so that I can like tell these stories in the future. But we want to share one of the stories that was given to us today because it is so tea. And we won't ever like share a name or say who sent it to us just because. Okay, so I'm going to start. Okay, so this girl shared this story and she starts off by saying, "Girl, I have been waiting for someone to ask for this story for 20 years. You already got me. You already got me hooked on whatever the fuck you're about to say." Okay. And she included articles too, which I'm like, fucking yes, thank you so much. Okay. When I was in high school, our science teacher, who was a single dad and his son was in my grade, was arrested mid-class for having kiddie porn on his school desktop computer. There were a few weird things he'd said here and there, and also stories from friends who did yard work at his house, and he heavily encouraged them to shower in his garage shower afterwards. What the fuck? The classroom was lined with the classroom was lined with monster masks on top of the cabinets, and there were rumors that he had hidden cameras to creep on us in there, but I'm not sure if that was real or just gossip. Either way, shit was wild, and I'll never forget it. Okay, she added an extra part to this story. A high school classmate of mine went back to teach science at our high school in the same classroom as the pedo teacher from years before. She was later arrested for grooming via Snapchat and having a sexual affair with a 14-year-old student of hers. It's insane and
No.
very fucked up. There are a lot of articles about her because the Mary Kay Letourneau case also happened in Washington state, and they're of a similar nature. Her married last name was Fucks.
Ah! Um, wow, I've never heard that last name.
Fuchs.
Well,
And let me
oh,
tell y'all, she fucks.
have you ever met a 14-year-old that you wanted to have sexual relations with? Because
Hell fucking
14-year-olds are freaking disgusting.
They're disgusting and literally stupid.
Yes,
And also, I think
absolutely.
of myself when I was 14, at no time was I like, "Oh, yeah, that 45-year-old man looks so good." Never.
Oh, well, I don't know. I've always kinda had a thing for older dudes, but probably not
Okay, yeah, we can't tell.
45. Raven knows that she's hiding something, but he isn't pushing her to tell him, and, like, I don't think that he even really cares at this point, like, what she's hiding, but he is so pissed off at Hoth for trying to schedule a public execution, on market day, which he doesn't have the approval to do, and so Raven says, as the captain of the Destriers, like, if he wants to be the captain of the Destriers, he can battle him for it. Um, but Hoth isn't going to try that shit with Raven because the scythe card doesn't work against Raven, and Hoth knows that. So Hoth is just a fucking bully. That is, like, I think where we left off.
Mhm.
So at least this point, the boy and his parents have escaped from the market day into the mist, and they're carrying Elspeth's charm. So they do have some protection against the mist. And Jesper is going to try and find them and bring them somewhere safe. So they do apparently have a safe place where they hide infected children, which means, like, do they have this army of infected children waiting to, like, overthrow the king? I don't know, but I thought that that was an interesting thought if they're hiding infected children somewhere.
Yeah.
So this has all been, it's all been, like, pretty dramatic and confusing, but, like, we're getting close to the end here, and I think they're trying to wrap things up. And so Raven uses the nightmare card to talk to his father and says that they have to get back to Castle U, like, ASAP. So they're having to rush back to Castle U because Emery ran away from Stone from the castle and made his way, like, he is back at Castle U now, and he is supposed to be, like, under lock and key at Castle Stone. So
Mhm.
it is not a good situation. So he's essentially the king's prisoner, but on top of that, it's just dangerous for him to travel because he has degenerated so far already that he is just not well.
Mhm.
Emery doesn't even remember Elsbeth at this point. Like, the degeneration is taking over his mind completely. He
Wow,
asks her
poor
if
guy.
she knows. I know, it's so sad. He does ask her if she knows that the Yus are descendants of the Shepherd King, which I don't think that we knew that.
Mm-mm.
So apparently this is not fact, but more lore. Castle Stone was built by the first Rowan king, Brutus. So the Shepherd King had to have a castle elsewhere, and the only other castle in the area is the one that's in ruins in the U's backyard. So Elspeth asks the nightmare what his name is, strongly suspecting that it's you. He doesn't answer. He says that his name is lost to the winds. So thanks for all the information. Nightmare in my mind.
Yeah, you're
Like, you've
so
been living in my
fucking
mind since
aggravating.
I was like a little kid, and you can't even tell me what your fucking name is. So aggravating. So Emery shocks everyone when he stands up. He is skin and bones. He is breaking down super rapidly and is obviously not going to last much longer. Then Elm and Raven get into it over Elspeth. Elm thinks that Raven is focusing too much attention, time, whatever, on her, which he is falling in love with her. So I'm sure that he is spending a lot of time with her and wanting to be around her all the time. But on top of that, Elm is aware that Elspeth has more magical powers than she's letting on. Raven says he trusts her and that should be enough for everyone, but Elm does not think that that's enough. And I honestly don't blame him. Like, everyone's lives are at stake here. Like, they are all traitors trusting in this girl who hasn't even told them the full extent of what she can do. So I don't blame them for being like a little bit wary of her.
Mm-hmm.
Elm is also pissed that they didn't take the opportunity of Market Day to try to steal the well card from Spindlehouse. And Elspeth is like, what the fuck? I tried to convince you to do that.
Yeah, she like literally
and
begged him to do it.
yeah. And basically Elm just disagreed with her because he didn't want to admit that she like had a good idea. So complete asshole. He's just an
Yeah.
asshole.
Men.
So Raven tells Elm the reason he wanted them all at Market Day was to have them all accounted for while the Ivies tried to steal the well card from Spindlehouse. They were not successful at finding the card because they needed fucking Elspeth, who can see the cards light up like a fucking beacon. So no, it didn't work without her. Like, they're just digging through drawers and shit looking for it. Like, they have no way to see where it is without Elspeth. So it turns out that Elspeth did not kill Hoff's henchman Lyndon after all. We were unsure. But he barely survived, but he did survive, which sucks because that guy sucks. Raven and Elspeth are left alone. She wants to know where they stand. And they have this budding romance that keeps getting interrupted, like by violent skirmishes. Unfortunately, she tells him she wants them to be honest with each other and then tells him she's degenerating. She's feeling less and less in control of her mind with how often she's been calling on the nightmare. So she knows that she only has like a limited amount of times left before she's gonna lose it too. She's gonna end up just like Emery.
Yeah, that's gotta be
He's
scary to, like, watch him and see him doing that, knowing that, like, your day will come.
Yes, and I guess it can affect them in different ways. Like,
Yeah.
she may not necessarily fall apart physically the way that he has, but I think it's even scarier to imagine losing your mind, which has got to be what it feels like for her whenever the nightmare takes over.
Yeah.
So Raven is immediately concerned and wants to know how. And she's never even spoken about the nightmare. So even for her to allude to it is super brave. Um, and he doesn't push her to tell him details, just lets her know that they're in it together. So, like, he really is falling head over heels for her. And I'm eating it up. And this little bit of vulnerability is all that it takes to ignite a fucking fire between them. They're kissing, his hands are all over her, he leads her to his bedroom. Um,
Mm.
which was not clean, by the way. I just have to say that. Like, they go in his room, and I'm, like, by no means, like, a clean freak, um, or even, like anyway, like, that's just not me, but the first time that you're taking someone back to your room or your house, I think, like, you maybe want it to be, like, clean-ish, like, picked up at least,
Clean-ish,
but no,
yeah, don't give me
there
the
are
ick.
mm. So their clothes are coming off. He asks if he can kiss her, and me and Elspeth are both like, "It's a little late to ask, right? Like, you've been kissing me already." But he didn't mean on her face! Like, they went ahead and went there on their first date back to his room. They do not hold
Hell
back. They
yeah.
just go at it, floor, bed, everywhere. Where is their chaperone? I don't think like she is at his house, like supposed to be chaperoned. Um, I don't think this is allowed. So can two infected people have an infected baby? I don't know.
I don't think that they're worried about that right now.
They are not concerned. Um,
Can't
so
get
like,
pregnant with just kisses.
well, they did a lot more than kisses. They went
Nah, I
all the
meant
way.
downstairs kisses.
Oh, well, that's true. If you would like to keep it to oral, like there's not going to be any babies if you swallow them all. So, Elspeth slips out of Raven's room the next morning at dawn, and Jesper is waiting with a very knowing smile on her face. Like you can tell she's so ready to tease the shit out of her um, for sleeping with Raven last night. And they go to breakfast, and Raven comes down, like basically like skipping, whistling, like definitely acting 100% like a guy who got laid last night. Um, so everybody's happy mood is soon gone because Emery has to go back to Castlestone today. Um, but first, Elspeth has this really good idea, and she wants Emery to touch her again so she can find out more info on the nightmare since he won't just tell her for some reason. But Emery's
Nobody
gift
will
is
just
to
tell anybody anything.
right, but Emery can see things like whenever through physical touch. That's part of his gift.
Mhm.
So Emery touches her and says he sees her, a woman with long black hair and charcoal eyes, but he also sees a yellow gaze narrowed by hate, and he sees her fingers, long and pale, covered in blood. And I mean, she has been slicing people up recently, so accurate.
Mhm.
Then Emery says he sees a creature curled around her spine as if they are woven together, and it's close to taking her over entirely. He can see this half animal, half man in the chamber with one dark window hunched on the stone. The nightmare tells him there was once a girl and there was once a shepherd king. The two together became a monster. So, was there another girl? Is there an original girl? Or is this Elspeth the whole time? Like, that's what I'm unsure of.
Yeah, I'm so confused by the riddles.
So, Emery promises not to say anything about Elspeth's secret. Not that it would probably matter because his degeneration makes him forget everything. And then that's the end of part 2, and we move on to part 3, the blood. So Elspeth wakes from another dream. In this one, she's leading a group of children to the chamber, lifting them in through the window, the wood full of smoke. Someone with a scythe card waited for her in the chamber, and she is coughing up blood. She falls, and the last thing she senses as she's being enveloped by the earth is the smell of salt, which is the smell of magic, as we remember.
Mhm.
So when she wakes up, she is actually in the chamber. She sleepwalked down there, which is like
Again.
sounds like some pretty excessive sleepwalking.
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause she had to
This
literally crawl
time
through a window.
yes, like a tiny window that is
Yeah,
kinda high
like,
up, I
I'm not doing
like
that in my sleep, I'm sorry.
no. I probably couldn't do that if I was awake. So this time, in her sleep, the nightmare had her digging up the earth around the stone pillar in the room. So she's fucking filthy. Um And, like, what is he looking for? Like, why not just tell her when she's awake? She'll go look for you. The
Makes
nightmare
no
is
sense to me.
so what she dug up is, I think, a gravestone. So the stone pillar is actually a marker for a grave. So whose grave is it? She
His
has this
probably.
revelation, and then you think so? You think it's the nightmares? I mean, that makes the most sense, I guess, but
I mean, if we think that he's the Shepherd King, then he's also probably the knight that we've been seeing.
yes, probably. So I'm thinking, like, why
Or
isn't this
what
card
if
that there.
That's what I was about to say. What if it's the card buried way under there, the Twin Altars card?
Yes. Like, that makes sense to me that it would be the Twin Altars card buried under there, but she hasn't found it. So she has this revelation and then blacks out. And when she wakes up, she's back in her room at Castle U. And she begins to beg the nightmare to leave her alone. And he just dead ass says that he can't and he won't. Like, he is part of her and he's not leaving her alone. Without the nightmare, she would be dead. Like, that's undeniable. Like, she would have died as a child from the physicians, and she probably would have died several more times in battle, like from various people when the nightmare has taken over and helped her survive.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, just because of that, like, you don't have to completely ruin her life and take over her brain, like, make her lose her mind.
I don't think that he
So,
cares about her, though. Like, this is just where he has ended up, and it is what it is. Sorry that you're in the way.
well, yeah, because it's not like it's not in his best interest for her to live. Like, I assume that if she dies, that he's gone too, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's not just gonna jump to another person. Like, it took forever for him to get into her. It took her specific magic to absorb his.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a week since Raven, Jesper, and Elm took Emery back to Castle U, and she is missing Raven so bad. The king was pissed that Emery had escaped, so he's putting the Destriers through like all this extra training and whatever just as punishment. So she hasn't seen Raven in like a week. In the meantime, Elspeth has been invited to her father's house to celebrate her half-sister's name day because they're twins. So they're going to have this big party for them. I bet that Elspeth never got a big party on her name day.
Yeah, because her mom isn't the
So
bitch stepmother.
surely, yes, bitch stepmother. So they're surely going to try and get the well card at this party. Because it just makes sense if they know her dad has one. Like, she's got to get it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the plan. The king has a lot on his mind. Emery escaping, an infected child escaping on market day, a destrier attacked, which was by Elspeth and her fucking monster claws that come out sometimes. Most of all, he is just distracted and obsessed with finding the Twin Alders card by Solstice. Like, they don't think that Emery's going to last past then, so they want to find the card and go ahead and spill his blood and hopefully get this magic lifted from them. So Elspeth makes her way to her father's house, and my love story is living up to its expectations. Like, they are very much into each other, and I would personally just like them to head on back to Raven's room again. But they don't. They just go into the party. Unfortunately, her father is not carrying the well card on him. So the king and
Oh,
his court
shit.
have been in. I know. So now they're going to have to find it. The king and his court have been invited to this event, and their arrival signals the start of the party. So Elspeth slips up the stairs with Raven, not to be romantic, but to look for the card. And Jesper and Elm join this, and they split into pairs and start to search. So Elm and Elspeth are going to search the library and the third floor, and Raven and Jesper are going to search her father's bedroom and the fifth floor. So, like, how big is this fucking house? 5 floors?
5
Like,
floors.
just for some dude's house? Like, this isn't a castle. Like, this is just a house.
That's insane.
Um,
Retirement from being captain of the Destriers apparently pays big bucks.
yeah. Like, I guess I could see it whenever he was actively the captain of the Destrier, but he don't even do that no more. Like, he is just straight up retired. And he's got 2 kids still in the house, and plus Elspeth, if you count her. It's not like she's married off or anything.
And a
So,
bitch wife.
a bitch wife who probably has bitch-ass expensive taste, too.
She got Birkin bags.
Mhm. Yeah. Elspeth and Elm don't find what they're looking for, and they do get seen by her father's steward who's skulking around the house. Because So they were acting suspicious, but like not actually doing anything wrong. But Balian, the steward, is onto them. He does not like Elspeth either. I'm like, why not? Like, she was there first. Like, why would you have loyalty to bitch stepmom and half sisters who sound like complete idiots? But
Mm-hmm.
he does, apparently. Raven and Jesper don't find the card either. So I think that Elspeth needs to go back and take a second look where Raven and Jesper looked because, like, she can't miss it. She has to look everywhere.
Yeah, that is so confusing to me. Why would y'all split up?
Yeah. So they decide to go ahead and make an appearance at the festivities before they continue their search, and Ione is there, maidened up, of course, and she leads them to a table with wine goblets waiting. And like, I'm immediately like, red flag, do not fucking drink that. Like, you cannot, like, don't you know
Mm-mm.
anything about like drink etiquette, like at a club, which sounds like what this is? Like, you don't leave your drink unattended. Somebody will put something in it. And she suggests making a toast, which of course she does. Like, this wine has something in it, doesn't it? Like, I'm already convinced that the wine has something in it. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then on top of that, Elspeth notes that the wine is more bitter than she expected it to be. So, you're all fucking idiots. I'm pissed off at all of you. This is ridiculous. But they go ahead. They all drink it. No big deal. Elm is the first one to notice that something is wrong. He reaches across the table and grabs Ione's face, and she doesn't respond. She doesn't blink. Her eyes are unfocused, and Elm realizes that someone has used a scythe card on her. It's like not even her behavior, like her. I mean, it's her,
Oh my
but
god.
somebody somebody has controlled her actions. So he pulls out his own scythe card and uses it to ask Ione what she's done. And she says, only what he bade me. Which is when Elspeth realizes that there are 6 wine goblets and there's only 5 of them. So Hoth jumps forward, like comes out of nowhere, and takes a seat at the table with his scythe card and also a chalice card. The truth
Bitch.
serum. Fucking truth serum. So, yep, he slipped it all to them, including himself. So, how the fuck are they going to get out of this? Like, they're all fucking traitors to the king and have all just drank truth serum. So,
I would be
Hoth
shitting.
goes, yeah. Apparently, this is a little game they like to play. Hoth goes first. Everyone is allowed to ask him one question. And this is not a game that I ever want to play.
No
It's like
thanks.
truth or dare, but no dare, which was the fun part. And then you have to tell the
Never have I
truth. Like, you
ever.
can't even lie. Never have I ever. So Jesper asks Hoth if he's jealous of Raven. Yes. The answer is yes, he is. Um, Elm asks if he's trying to turn the Destriers against Raven, which is also yes. Um,
Fucking bitch.
he, and Hoth tries to lie through it, but it's just not possible with a chalice card. Raven asks him if he will challenge him for command. Another yes. Like, why are y'all all asking questions that y'all already know the fucking answer to? Like, if you're playing this game, you should play it better. Which is exactly what I put in my notes. Like, I'm very consistent in my thoughts. Like, I just put, why the fuck are y'all asking questions you already know the answer to? Ione doesn't want to play with the big fucking moron, but he makes her, and she asks if he's been with any other women since their engagement. Yes, he has. Pick.
Ugh.
So she has literally used this maiden card to try to be as attractive to him as possible. And I
And
mean,
he
I don't know
still
if there's
wants
any other
somebody
reasoning
else.
behind it. He still wants somebody, like
That's
whoever
like
else he can have.
that's like when Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. Like what?
Oh, yeah. Well, anything with a hole, basically. You know what our mom always
Men.
says? Mom always
What?
says that men would fuck a mayonnaise sandwich.
But also, yes.
Ione goes next. Jesper asks if Hoth is treating her well, and she says as well as somebody like him can. Um, Elm asks if she loves Hoth, and the answer is no, which I'm a little bit surprised. Like, I kind of thought that she would love, like, at the very least, like, his status and everything, his power. But
Mhm.
she's
The
not into
idea,
him at all. Raven asks what she wants from her connection with the Rowans, and that is power. So that maiden card has changed her. Elspeth asks if she really wants to marry him, and she does. For the power, she wants to marry him, love or not. So that kind of
That's
hurt my
so
little romantic
crazy.
heart. Elm goes next, and I'm starting to get more nervous because they all have a lot of secrets, but Hoth didn't ask Ione anything. Why? Like, I was confused by that. Like, there was nothing. Maybe he just doesn't care enough to ask her even a question about herself. But Jesper asks Elm who he thinks the most talented card user in Blunder is, and he says that he is. Elm believes himself to be the most talented at everything, which sounds about like the kind of person that he is. I only ask why he doesn't live at Stone, and he says that he hates it there. Raven asks Elm if he trusts him. Yes, he does. And Elspeth asks him if it's painful to use the scythe for too long. And it does. It feels like glass cutting into his head whenever he uses it for too long, which sounds fucking horrific. Like,
Jesus.
I'm never using something if it feels like glass. Mom had to give me a shot today,
Oh
and
my god, yes!
that you told me about, and I have never had a more painful fucking shot in my life. She pushed it in so slow, like getting stabbed very, very slowly, and I couldn't scream because she's getting grated on it. So, like, I just have to sit there and take it. Well, I just have anyway, sorry. The glass cutting into the skull reminded me of my shot today. Um, Hoth asked Elm if he thinks he's more fit to be king than Hoth is. And yes, he does. And he probably is, because Hoth seems like a
Woo!
big fucking idiot, but he does have, I guess, things on his side, like big brute strength or whatever. So the chalice cannot be used on Raven. Everybody knows that. But he still plays. So Hoth asks if he cares for Elspeth, and he says yes. And here my heart is just a fluttering. Elspeth asks him if he's still pretending, and he kisses her and said he never was. Isn't that the
Ah!
sweetest thing? He never was pretending. That was good. I really appreciated that moment in the book. Like, thank you for giving me something.
Mhm.
So now it's Elspeth's turn. I only ask if she's in love, and I'm annoyed at how much agony she's in when she says yes. Like, just admit it. Like, he was just so fucking sweet to you, and it's hard for you to admit that you love him. Like, Elspeth does get on my nerves sometimes.
Mhm.
So, anyway, Hoth asks her what happened to her arm. So now we're getting to some juicy shit. Like, how's she gonna answer that?
Mhm.
Moment of truth. If she says that Hoth broke it, they're all fucked. Raven wants to help her, so he uses the nightmare card discreetly, like to get into her head, like right at that moment, to try to tell her,
But
like, what to
she
say.
asked him not to ever do that.
Yes, which it panics her completely because, like, she doesn't want him to see the nightmare that's already living in her head. Um, and it doesn't help that as soon as Raven enters her mind, the nightmare comes out full force, screaming at him to get out. Like, it's so jarring to him that Raven literally falls out of his chair. So, with all of this happening, Raven falling, then Hoth grabs Elspeth's broken arm making Jesper jump to her defense, and it's just like a big confusing jumble. And Raven says they're done, and Elspeth gets out of answering the question.
Ooh,
So,
thank God.
luckily, they're not all going to be like hung or slaughtered or burned at the stake or whatever they do in this world whenever they kill somebody. But she stands up and immediately falls to the ground, coughing up blood. So she's like poisoned from this truth serum. Either that or degenerating, one of the two. But she is very sick.
Mm.
So Elspeth wakes up in her childhood room. Raven is asleep in a chair beside her, and Elspeth pretends to be asleep. Um, Elm comes in, and they're discussing how Hoth must suspect it was them that ambushed Wayland Pine, since he was so keen to use the truth serum on them from the chalice the night before. And Raven is super worried that Elspeth won't forgive him for entering her mind against her will. And I'm like at this point, like you were trying to save her life, something in her head fucking screamed at you. Like the last thing that we need to be concerned about at this moment is Elspeth's feelings, but he is. He said
Yeah.
her head was like no one else's that he had ever been inside. So when Elspeth wakes up, Raven asks her what that voice was. And instead of trying to tell him, she tells him to use the nightmare card so she can show him. So, big step. That is like a huge step for Elspeth. She's going to allow Raven into her mind. So, the nightmare talks to him again whenever he enters, saying, "At least this time you came invited." She tells him that the creature from the card is in her head. So she's being like very honest all of a sudden. Like maybe she had a little bit of that truth serum, too much of that. She's just going on and on. All of a sudden,
Like
she's just
wanting to
completely
tell him
coming clean.
everything.
So, and that's a lot for him to take in, I feel like, too. So, she tells Raven and Elm that her magic is that when she touches a Providence card, she absorbs whatever it was the Shepherd King paid to create it, which we haven't heard it described like that before. But
Mm-hmm.
they finally come to the realization that it is the Shepherd King's soul in her head. And Elm's pissed. Mostly just that she's been lying, which he already suspected her of, but he's an ass. Like, he's gonna be pissed no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, Raven asks if the nightmare has ever hurt her, and this pisses the nightmare off. He says he protects her. He does not hurt her. But there's no denying that the more he helps her, the faster she is breaking down and degenerating. So it's not like he's all good for her either. No reason to get
Yeah.
mad. So Elspeth confirms to Raven that the old castle ruins on the U property were the Shepherd King's. That Brutus Rowan burned it and killed the Shepherd King and his family. And that he was buried beneath the stone in the chamber with one dark window. Jesper comes knocking and says the king wants Raven downstairs immediately, and he leaves and tells her that they'll talk more later. So Elspeth's father comes up to the room, and he heard about the incident with the chalice and wants to check on her. He asks her how the courtship is going, and she responds that she does very much like Raven. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going well. Like, he's pretty freaked out about the nightmare in her head, so he may, like, not stick around. I don't know yet. Then he makes like shit a whole lot easier, and he just gives her the well card. Like, they've been trying to figure out how to get this well card, how to steal it, hunting for it, trying to figure out where it is, and Daddy just comes in and hands it to her. Which, nice. I guess it's nice to be an author and be able to figure things out however you want.
I guess.
He says he wants her to have it because it was her mother's. So, like, he does love her. She's part of his wife, and he adored his wife. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, she's able to tell Raven about the well card before he leaves to go on patrol, and he says he'll send Philip up to get it. So I'm thinking, like, you just got this card, like, that you have been searching for forever. There's hardly any of them out there. And she just leaves it on the bed to go tell Raven she found it because she's afraid to touch it. She can't touch it because she'll absorb the magic. But I'm thinking at the same time, I wouldn't just leave it on the bed and go on about my business.
Put some
either.
fucking gloves on.
Something. It's ridiculous. So, as he's leaving, she says, "Be safe." And the chapter ends with, "Had I known they'd be the last words I'd say to him aloud, I might have chosen them differently." What? What the fuck is about to happen? Shook. I am shooketh.
Oh, shit.
So Elspeth is sitting around the parlor in her father's house, and she's weak. She's trying to get some of her strength back. Her stupid fucking uncle comes in, and he says her aunt is here to see her. And Uncle is acting strange. Like, do not go up to your room with him, Elspeth. This is probably a trap. Like, how come I can see all the traps, yet Elspeth sees 0 of the traps? Or the nightmare couldn't
Fictional
warn her.
character.
Maybe this is a trap? And of course, it is. She gets up there. Hoth is waiting for her. Not Opal, not Aunt Opal. It is Hoth. Her uncle is a fucking snake. Hoth didn't even have to use the scythe card on him to get him to betray Elspeth. He just did it. So Uncle Tyrn locks her in the room with Hoth, and Elspeth tries to scream for help, but he is like on her. So Uncle Tyrn locks her in the room. Elspeth tries to scream for help, but he is on her like immediately, and she fights so hard. He tries to use the scythe on her, but with the nightmare, she's able to fight even the scythe card. But when he uses the black horse card, he is much harder to fight, and he's able to tie her to a chair. He guesses correctly that she's infected. Her uncle had confirmed it to him, and he wants her help with Raven. Like, you really think that she's gonna betray Raven? Like, she fucking loves him, even if she's embarrassed to tell people. Like, she's not helping you with Raven. So actually, he's going to use Elspeth as bait to try to force Raven to confess to whatever he's been up to and step down as the captain of the Destroyers. And if not, he'll reveal her infection to the king. So she spits in his face and he punches her, like straight on, dead ass in the face. Like, she gets punched by a man using a black horse card, which makes him stronger and everything anyway. So I'm sure that her face was fucked up. She asked the nightmare for help. And for the first time, like, the nightmare is hesitant, like, not because he doesn't want to help her, but because he knows that, like, this might be the last time he can help her. Like, she is degenerating so fast that this might be it. But she goes ahead and says, like, I don't have any other choice. Like, you have to, like, he's going to kill me or Raven is going to get caught. Like, you have to help me. So he tells her she'll need to get her hands free. And someone knocks at the door and Hoth goes to answer it. And Elspeth is able to use the nightmare strength to rip her hands free of the binding while Hoth is distracted. And it's fucking Orith Willow that he lets in the room, who gives me such the creeps. The physician. He's got these gloves on with spikes coming out of each finger, and he can get the fuck away and fucking die for all I care, because no, I'm not having somebody come at me with fucking gloved spiky fingers. That sounds terrifying.
It's giving Lady Gaga in American Horror Story Hotel.
Ew. Yes. Or just like Lady Gaga in the meat dress. Like, that sounds like equally disturbing. So she's just biding her time now. I guess they haven't figured out that she got her hands free. And I'm ready for her to just like fucking go crazy on them. So Elspeth is terrified for Raven. Even if they don't find out that he's been stealing cards and acting as a highwayman, he is still committed treason just by hiding her infection. So, like, there's no way that he gets out of this unscathed. So she hears the Destroyers returning to the house, and the nightmare uses that cue to tell her it's time to act. So she screams like at the top of her lungs and starts fighting both of them. But it's not enough because they're able to contain her. And Orith notes that her eyes are the same ones that helped the infected boy escape on market day. So, like, great. Now they know that too. But she gets a second burst of energy and is fighting again, like fighting super hard and doing pretty well until Raven enters her mind with his nightmare card. And it distracts her just enough for Orith to get one of those fucking claws around her neck. And if she moves,
Oh
she's done
no.
for. Hoth slams her head, like takes her fucking head, slams it into the stone wall. I'm sure she's not gonna die because, like, this book is about her, but it really seems like she might die, actually.
Oh my god.
So meanwhile, Raven is steady calling out to her in her mind with no response, and she finally tells him in her mind not to come for her, that Hoth and Orith are waiting, and even the nightmare says that Raven can't save her at this point. So she tries to tell Raven that he can still find the twin altars, can still save Emery, like just to forget about her. And the nightmare tells her to get up. So maybe she's still got like a little bit of fight left in her, even though her face and her head are fucked up. Like he smashed her head like a melon into the wall.
Ew.
So she basically says she can't, but the nightmare can. And she blacks out and has a vision again of a man running through the mist, followed by children fleeing the burning castle and disappearing into the chamber with one dark window. She sees a gray-eyed boy facing down a man with a Rowan symbol on his cloak, and she sees hundreds of infected children being thrown into the fire, and she transformed into the nightmare, or in her mind at least. And Elspeth is out of commission. Her eyes are yellow, like she is no longer in the building. And they attack. They immediately kill Orith by ripping off one of his bladed gloves and shoving it into his throat. Hell yes.
Hell
Like, that's
yes.
what I was waiting for. Except now, Elspeth's degeneration is complete. The last thing she says to the nightmare is begging him to promise to help Raven, and he promises to help the U's in all of their endeavors. So, like, Elspeth is gone. The nightmare has taken over her body.
That's so sad. Okay, but do you think that she's, like, gone, or she's, like, also, like, in there somewhere, in her head somewhere, but, like, way in the back?
I mean, she gotta be coming back, right?
I mean, fuck, the whole book was about her.
Yeah, she gotta be coming back. That's what I choose to believe.
Okay, I agree with mom. We absolutely have to read the second book now.
So Raven and Elm are in the dungeon. It's 3 days later. When they had run up to Elspeth's room, they were met with a locked door and silence. They found Orith dead and Elspeth slumped against the wall, battered and beaten, but still alive. Hoth was also still alive, but barely. She beat the fuck out of Hoth.
Good. Fuck you.
So the first thing Elspeth says is, "I'm not dead. I'm just waking up." Okay, fucking creeper. It's just the nightmare now, mentally. She's definitely not herself. She has not a care in the world about just killing Orith and maiming Hoth. And Elm makes the point that they were going to use Orith's blood to save Emery. So whose blood are they going to use now? Is Elspeth back on the chopping block? Now they don't have
Well,
an infected person they want to use.
if she's gone mind, they might as well use her body, I guess.
Mm, yeah, except the nightmare is not going to have that, I'm sure. So Raven tries to hug her, but she tells him not to touch her. And that's when Raven notices the yellow eyes and realizes that Elspeth is gone. He tries to reach into her mind to speak to her, but it's silent now in her mind. The nightmare tells Raven to let her rest. So Raven fills Elm in on what's going on. Then the nightmare says, "I've killed the king's physician and maimed the heir to the throne. I'm infected with magic. I surrender myself to the captain of the Destriers and await an inquest by the king. So I don't know what the end game here is, but she wants to be arrested.
So it makes me
So
think that the
Elm,
nightmare wants to be with the king. Like there's something like he knows.
the king in some way, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
So Elm and Raven are not imprisoned in the dungeon. They're there as Destriers, and they are unsure of whether to trust the nightmare Elspeth. Like, they know it's not her anymore. So on the one hand, they said, the nightmare and Elspeth said they wanted to help Raven, and it's them in the cell in the dungeon. So it's confusing because, like, I know it's not really Elspeth, so I don't want to just say she, but not Raven, Elm, and Jesper and the rest that are on their side. Like, she's going to do what she wants because she's the one imprisoned. He.
Mhm.
So the Destriers go with the king to the dungeon to see the nightmare Elspeth. And so just forgive all the confusing talk. It's obvious that it's not really Elspeth anymore, so it doesn't feel right saying she, her, or just saying Elspeth. So that's why I started with the they, them, talking
'Kay.
about Elspeth and the nightmare. So
Yeah.
the king talks to nightmare Elspeth, saying that Raven says she will only speak to the king and no one else. They want to barter for their life. The king is not open to this after what they did to Orith and Hoth. The king is pissed off and not as scared as he should be of them.
Well, yeah.
The king says he doesn't want to barter, that he wants to kill them and everyone like them, which we know that. The king is a fucking, I don't know what you would call that kind of not racism, I guess, but he
Magicism.
is a very magicism. Yes, he is very against people with magic. He's scared of them. He wants them all gone. Hate
He's just jealous.
is the root of fear, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Maybe fear is the root of hate. But Nightmare Elspeth says that if he does that, he will never reunite the deck. Like, if you want to reunite the deck, you need me. So the king asks what they want, and they say the same as you, to unite the deck. But first, they want Emery released to his parents, and the king asks why he'd do that when he needs Emery's blood. And the nightmare Elspeth says that they'll trade their life for Emery's.
Aw.
Which, okay, like, that's very selfless of you. The king asks what he will get in exchange for prolonging their life until solstice. And they say the Twin Alders card, that they are the only one who can find it because they know exactly where they left it. So why the fuck haven't you told Elspeth in all this time that she's been collecting cards and shit that you know where it is? We could have already had this shit reunited and done with, but no, that is the end of the book.
That is so fucked up.
Yes, the end. That is where we are left with One Dark Window.
Jesus. Okay, so
How do you feel about
rate
it?
this
Did you
book?
like it?
Uh,
Rating
gonna
it
say,
on a scale from 1 to 10,
okay, yeah, go 10.
I am going to give it a solid 7.
Okay, I'm gonna give it like an 8.5.
Okay, you're making me reconsider my rating, but
I
I'm going to
I
stick with it.
really just I thought that this book was incredible.
It took me a long time to wrap my head around the magic, but once I
Yeah.
did, it all seemed to start going much smoother. So, we hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we did. Please forgive us for any technical difficulties. We are trying our best and will continue to look into better ways to do this because we really like to talk to y'all.
Yes, and we can only get better with time. So like I can't wait for future episodes because it's just gonna get better.
Yep. So, anyways, bye, fuckers. We love you.
Bye guys.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify.
Go like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. join our Facebook group, and follow us on Instagram.
The links to everything are available in the show notes.
And 5 stars only. If you have anything less, please turn your phone off and mind your business. Bye, fuckers.